It is a choice that can have devastating consequences, and yet it happens daily. Nationwide, 37 people die every day in drunk driving crashes. A few weeks ago, a Jennings woman was killed on Interstate 70 by an alleged drunk driver. Also, NHL star Johnny Gaudreau was killed along with his brother by a suspected drunk driver in New Jersey. Tonight, our Caroline Hecker brings you the stories of families impacted by this preventable crime and shows you the efforts being made to get these drivers off the road.
Never in a million years did any of the grieving parents I spoke to imagine that their lives would be upended by someone else's bad decision. It's the life they're now stuck living, one they would not wish on their worst enemy. These fragile branches hold some of Jennifer Neldon's most treasured memories. Nestled within Heartland Park in Wentzville, a living, breathing reminder of all she's lost.
If it could affect our family, it can affect anybody.
Her 23-year-old daughter, Grace, was full of life. She'd started a new job and was about to get engaged. This video, taken just hours before everything changed.
She was stolen from me, and if I'm being very honest, I feel like she was murdered because it was preventable. It didn't have to happen.
Grace was headed home to Ellsbury after spending the evening with a friend. Driving north on Highway 79 near Old Monroe, a southbound driver trying to pass another car cut into her lane, hitting Grace head on. She was killed instantly. The driver of the other car and two passengers also killed. Neldon says the teenage driver and her friends had just left a post-prom party and were intoxicated.
To know that it could have been prevented is really salt in the wound because we can't do anything to bring her back.
The site of the crash, now a sobering reminder of the 4 lives lost that night.
And I do hope, as painful as it is to look and see all of those crosses, I do hope that every time people drive past it, they're thinking.
That is a picture I love of him and I.
Deborah Weinstein knows Jennifer's pain because she, too, is living it. Her son, David, was just 2 days shy of his 30th birthday when he crossed paths with a drunk driver in 2011 on 370 near the Mills Mall.
He was driving, and the drunk driver had kind of been changing lanes, went into his lane, and both cars went off the road and started tumbling many times.
He died at the hospital, but not before he saved the lives of others as an organ donor.
In one instant, your life changes, that you get a call, you go to the hospital, and the next day you're picking out a casket. This is the last day I saw my son with my daughter.
13 years later, the pain never goes away. But she says David is always with her. His daughter, just 9 years old when he died, recently graduated from college.
Every time something in her life changes, he's not there, and it's very obvious.
The pain inflicted by a drunk driver is not lost on Chris Pate. At 23 and about to graduate from Harris Stowe University, he was T-boned by a drunk driver.
And when they took me in the room, what I saw, I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. I walked in there, Chris was laying on the bed, blood was everywhere. His face was so swollen I couldn't hardly recognize him.
The crash left him in a coma for 6 weeks. When he woke up, he had to relearn everything and accept his new reality.
For a while, I was suicidal. I didn't think that this couldn't have been God's plan for my life, is what I would think. But my pastor, my faith helped me accept that this is the plan for my life. It's my job to make the best of it.
He now works for Mothers Against Drunk Driving, educating kids on the effects alcohol and drugs can have on their brains. He lives in constant pain, but is determined to use his story to help others.
I'm grateful for my life, no matter how tough it is, because days are hard. It's tough. It's a tough life to live, but it's a life that was assigned for me. It was meant just for me.
According to the Missouri State Highway Patrol, since the beginning of 2023, there have been more than 8,400 crashes statewide involving drugs or alcohol. 284 people have been killed, at least 54 of those deaths in the St. Louis metro.
Keep looking at that finger when it comes in, okay?
Getting intoxicated drivers off the road
Okay, I'm gonna bring my finger up. Just keep your head still.
is St. Charles County Police Officer Zach Koch's favorite part of the job.
Big, big, deep breath.
During a recent DUI patrol, this driver was arrested for driving under the influence. A search of his truck revealed empty beer cans in the front seat.
DWI, personally, for me, is by far my favorite. I love being out on the road at night, identifying the impaired drivers that are putting other people at risk, taking them off the road, and allowing people a chance to get home safely.
It's a crime Officer Koch says doesn't discriminate
So go ahead and place your right foot in front of your left.
across class, race, or gender. And often,
Eastbound 70 just before convention.
the devil is in the details.
Things like fluctuating speed, where someone's fluctuating their speed above and below the posted speed limit by 10 miles an hour. Making a wide right or left turn could be a clue. Maybe driving without headlights.
He says national data shows the average first-time offender has driven under the influence 80 times before they're caught. But when he does catch one,
Would you be willing to do just a couple tests to make sure that you're okay to drive?
it's a rewarding feeling,
Right here.
knowing he may have prevented another family from a lifetime of suffering.
They're real-life superheroes to us.
A DUI costs way more than you think. Between bail, attorney fees, fines, and probation, many people shell out more than 10 grand. And if you hurt or kill someone, you could, of course, be held both criminally and civilly liable. You can find much more on the lives of Grace, David, and Chris in this story on the First Alert 4 News app. Caroline Hecker, First Alert 4.